Good afternoon, everyone. Let us begin our Eurasian Conference on Science, Engineering, and Technological Innovations, which is an online conference. I would invite all the guests and chairpersons to this conference, which is organized by Automation, Computer Science and Technology Department, Kreberic National University, Ukraine, Europe, and Research Culture Society, co-sponsored by Institute of Science and Technology, Eurasian University, and Scientific Research Association. I would welcome all the participants, attendees to this conference. Let me give a brief of the organizing institutions. Kreberic National University is one of the largest education institutions of the central region of Ukraine for qualified personnel training in metallurgical, mining, engineering, and technological specializations. Scientific subjects performed by the university aimed to increase the efficiency of production and control processes, power saving, and environmental protection. Automation, Computer Science and Technology Department trains specialists in computer science, automation, and computer irrigated technologies. The main educational and scientific areas are information support for decision making, development and implementation of process, automation, and mechatronic systems. Research Culture Society is a government-registered scientific research organization. The society is working for research community at national and international level to impart quality and non-profitable services. And the Scientific Research Association, it is working on to promote national slide. The National Research Association is working on to promote scientific study research at international level, also to coordinate with other research organizations for educational research events. Thank you all the organizing institutions. I would now read out the objective of the international conference. The objective of this conference is to promote scientific and educational activities towards the advancement of common citizens' life, to improving the theory and practice of various disciplines of science and engineering. And the aim of this conference is to provide an interaction stage with the researchers and practitioners from academia and industries to deal with state-of-the-art advancement in their respective fields. And the co-sponsors are Institute of Science and Technology, Eurasian University, and Scientific Research Association. Let us begin with the inaugural session of today, that is 20th of November. The organizers of this conference are Dr. C.M. Patel, Director, Admin of Research Culture Society, and the President of Scientific Research Association, and Professor Dr. Natalia Marcon, Head Automation, Computer Science and Technology Department, Kreberic National University of Ukraine. The moderators of today's sessions will be myself, Ganga Marshall, and Ms. Sayani Das. The eminent speakers are Professor Untitled Chapter, Professor Dr. Gayakshamavanyan, and Dr. Rania Lampu. Let me invite the keynote speaker. Our first keynote speaker is Untitled Chapter, who is the PhD holder in engineering, associate professor in automation and computer science and technologies department of Kreberic National University, Ukraine, Europe. Untitled Chapter received a candidate of technical sciences degree from the Kreberic National University in 2013. Since 2007, he has been working in the field of automation and industrial process control at the Kreberic National University, where he is currently associate professor. His research interests include optimal, adaptive, and intelligent control of industrial processes and production systems, design and implementation of information systems. He has published a number of papers in international journals and monographs. I would invite you, Professor Vitaly Tron, to this conference.
Thank you very much. Now that I share my screen. Dear colleagues, I'm glad to welcome you to the Eurasian Conference on Science, Engineering and Technological Innovations. Let me thank the International Scientific Research Organization and also Research Cultural Society for a great opportunity to meet with scientists from around the world and share the results of scientific research. And let me tell you some words about Kreberic, our university, and our department. First of all, Kreberic is placed in central part of Ukraine in Europe. It was founded as a postal station in 1775. Now, city is the second biggest city in Ukraine by area and the seventh most populated city in the country. Now, Kreberic population is estimated as over 600,000 people. Kreberic is called the city of ore and metal because it's the main steel industry city of Eastern Europe and, of course, of Ukraine. City has over 53 plants, mines, factories in this area. The greatest ones are ArcelorMittal, Kreberic, owned by ArcelorMittal since 2005, is the largest private company by revenue in Ukraine. Also, we have a lot of oil enrichment works of Metinvest, the also largest contributors of UA balance of payments. And other giants of the city are Eurasian Mining Company, Heidelberg Cement, and many others. But Kreberic also is a very beautiful city. We have a lot of parks, squares, wide roads, and many other beautiful buildings. The main so-called symbol of Kreberic is a boat station on the top left corner here. You can see it, and many others. So Kreberic is not only for business, for metal and steel, but also for people, cultural and society. And now let me tell you some words about history of Kreberic National University and about this university, of course. Kreberic National University was founded as Kreberic Evening Workers Technical School in 1922. In 1929, the technical school was transformed into the Evening Workers Institute, which became Kreberic Mining Institute in 1931. You can see the process of building of the Kreberic Mining Institute on the top right corner, and the so-called old building of the university, the red building on the middle. In 1994, the institute got the status of the technical university, and some years later, in 2011, the university got national status and became Kreberic National University, the modern building of the university. You can see on the bottom right, Kreberic National University. This university is the biggest university in the city. It consists of several faculties and also research institutes, colleges, and many other departments. The main faculties are information technology, of course, mining and metallurgical, mechanical engineering and transport, electrotechnical, constructions, economics. And also we have two research institutes. First, the Institute of Occupational Safety, Ecology, and in the mining and metallurgical industry, and also Mining Research Institute. The Faculty of Information Technology, where I am from, It was established on September the 1st in 2001. The faculty consists of such departments. First of all, it's Department of Automation, Computer Science and Technology, and also Engineering and Pedagogy, Modeling and Software Development, Computer Systems, Higher Mathematics, Foreign Languages. Our department, Computer Science and Technology Department, began its history from 1961 on the basis of the Department of the Electrification of Mining, and then in the 2001, the Department of Economic Cybernetics was established, because these two departments in 2017 were merged into the one great department of automation, computer science and technology. And now the head of our department is Doctor of Technical Sciences, Professor Natalia Morkun. Our department are well equipped with a great number of modern equipment in the several laboratories. For example, Training Center of Automation and Computer Integrated Technologies by Siemens. This center equipment is used for laboratory workshops for a wide range of courses. For example, mechatronics, integrated control system, machine learning, cyber physical systems, and many others. We also have a laboratory of automation systems based on Schneider Electric equipment. For example, programmable logical controllers Modicon Micro and Premium, intellectual relay Zelio Logic, some kind of human-machine interfaces, and also professional software for programming and design, Zelio Soft, Unity Pro, Cytex, the SCADA system. We have also multimedia laboratory with computers and also Schneider Electric equipment with dialog panels, Magellis, and also controllers, Modicon TSX Premium and Twitter controllers. The example of Twitter controller you can see on the top right corner of the slide. Also, there are professional software for programming and design, Video Designer, Unity Pro, Twitter Soft for programming these controllers. And laboratory of automation of production processes equipped with the stands. Some of them are built by our students and our staff. Automation of thermal processes are presented here, sensor control and fan control, pumping station automation, control sensors of frequency converter, smart home also, and also many others technical stands. This equipment used not only for educational process, but also for the providing some international cooperation in such projects as development of practice-oriented student-centered training, also teacher certification center, higher engineering education and innovative university, and many others with Europe also. So I'd like to present our department in such way. Thank you very much for your attention. That's all. Thank you. I'll be happy to hear questions if you have.
Thank you, Professor Vataliltron, for your introduction of the city of Kryvyi and Kryvyi University and its laboratories. I would now invite our next keynote speaker, that is Professor Dr. Gayakshamavanyan. He is one of the prominent professors and scientists recognized by Wikipedia. Gayakshamavanyan is professor at National Polytechnic University of Armenia, advisor at Ministry of High-Tech Industry and Armenia's national expert in nanotechnology in few investment and advisory companies. He got his PhD in physics in 1996. He did postdoc in National Taiwan University. He was a visiting professor at the University of Hull, UK, Polytechnic of Milan, Italy, University of Bremen, Germany, Free University Berlin, Germany, Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland, University of Santiago de Compostela, Spain, Institute of Nanoscience and Technology, National Center for Scientific Research, Demokritos, at Athens, Greece, University of Sergi Pontois, France, and University of Tübingen, Germany. Professor Shamavanyan has taught in 3 universities within 3 countries, that is UK, France, and Armenia. He has authored and co-authored more than 50 referred journal papers, 130 conference papers, 20 patents, 3 books, 1 problem book, 1 monograph, and a chapter in 3-volume textbook, that is optical nanospectrography for European students. He is involved in coordination and advisory of different national and international RE projects. His most significant research awards are Clean Tech Oscar Award in UNIDO, that is United Nations Industrial Development Organization, that was held in 2015 USA, and ARPA Institute Invention Computation Awards. His current research interests are 2D atomic materials and flexible 2D electronics. We are glad to have you, Professor Dr. Gayakshamavanyan.
Hello, good dear colleagues. My name is Vitaly Tron, and today I'd like to present the results on influence of the magnetic field on ultrasonic waves propagation in the solid medium. Controlling processes efficiency in or concentration is mostly conditioned by accuracy and discretization time of data entry of process parameters. When using surface elastic waves in control devices for technological processes, in particular for iron ore beneficiation, it's advisable to affect the media using the acoustic and magnetic fields simultaneously. As a result, the character of wave propagation can vary significantly. Propagation of elastic waves in conducting media under the influence of the magnetic field is accompanied by the phenomena that are beyond the scope of the elasticity theory. To develop adequate models of processes in the disturbed medium, the following effects should be considered. While conducting medium movement in magnetic field, the electric field is induced, and as a result, the induction currents occur. The force with which the magnetic field acts on the current, as can be seen from the figure, prevents the movement of the medium. Consequently, the magnetic field will affect propagation and attenuation of the elastic waves in the conducting medium, and a one-component magnetic field changes the phase velocity of the wave, while two-component magnetic field causes the appearance of another displacement component. The aim of this research is generalization of the approach to the influence of the two-component magnetic fields on the surface waves in the conducting solid semi-space in case of ultrasonic waves in the semi-space and the solid conducting layer, in order to develop the technique of determining density of the iron or slurry and magnetic ion content in it. Let us consider variation of the ultrasonic low waves propagation under the influence of the constant magnetic field with certain intensity denoted as H sub 0. We assume that the solid semi-space is ideally conductive and the solid layer with certain thickness denoted as H is also perfectly conducting. Elastic waves propagation in such conditions is accompanied by induced currents, so the alternating electric and magnetic fields. Therefore, besides the elasticity theory, equations for isotopic medium motion, the Maxwell's equations, considering the conductive material elementary volumes motion in the magnetic field, should be performed. It can be written as shown on the slide on the right. We will consider the plane waves propagation along the axis X, where we assume that any directions fluctuations are possible. That is to say, in this system, different types of elastic waves can be propagated. Taking into account, let us write the above-mentioned equations, the system for the three-component displacement vector. Two of them are shown on the slide, x and y. From the equations shown above, it follows that the two-component magnetic field changes the structure of the ultrasonic low wave, additional displacement, and appear in the wave. It's caused by some anisotropy produced in the metal by the magnetic field. The condition indicators of the controlled object can be obtained from the data on the ultrasonic low waves propagation onto the surface contacting with the studied medium. This physical regularities allows us developing a method to determine the useful component content in the solid phase of the slurry. The method is based on that fact that one of the hand, the slurry density and content determine changes in the intensity of ultrasonic waves propagation in the medium contacting with the slurry, while on the other hand, they affect its magnetization value. So when the layer contacts the slurry, intensity of the ultrasonic low waves denotes as uppercase I changes exponentially and as shown in the first expression. In this expression, alpha is attenuation factor and L is the distance covered by the wave. Uppercase I sub 0 is the set value of ultrasound source. The attenuation factor can be presented as sum of two components. A sub nm is the attenuation factor conditioned by various mechanisms not associated with availability of the magnetic field, and A sub m is attenuation factor conditioned by the action of the magnetic field. In order to define influence of each of these factors on change in intensity, we compare their values as shown on the slide right column, and the signal S1 formed according to the expression below, we will determine the properties of the slurry. In this expression, uppercase I is the result of measuring intensity by the ultrasonic receiver, and uppercase sub 0 is the set value of ultrasound source. To determine the signal S sub 1 generally depends on two independent values, W and eta. W is volume fraction of the solid phase in the slurry, and eta is average volume fraction of the magnetic component in the solid phase. To find them, we should know another empiric value that depends on the same variables. We are going to use as such empiric value. Let us find the dependency mu on W and eta. It's known that magnetization is substances, including slurry, is associated with intensity of the magnetic field H by the expression shown on the slide. In a similar way, for the magnetic component, another expression can be written. Considering that mu sub m significantly higher than 1, we obtain the desired dependency mu on W and eta. In order to apply both equations to determine W and eta, it's necessary to find mu on the basis of measurements. The value of mu can be determined by using the well-known ratio shown on the slide right column. So to determine mu, we should measure induction of the magnetic field denotes as uppercase B, and measure intensity of the magnetic field denoted as uppercase H. If uppercase H is definitely determined by electric currents, according to the formula shown on the slide, to find B, we can apply classical schemes of measurements. If the vessel walls of the measuring model are made by a non-magnetic material, we can determine the value B, uppercase B, by mean of an auxiliary term. With a magnetic field either on or off the auxiliary turn, there appears a short secured current and the charge Q proportionate to magnetic induction uppercase B past the secured. Thus, while measuring the complete charge of the short-term current in the auxiliary turn, we determine B and mu. Thus, after determining mu and the signal as uppercase 1 by indirect measurement and solving the system shown on the slide, we can find volume fraction of the solid phase in the slurry W and volume fraction, average volume fraction of the magnetic component in the solid phase eta. Then we determine volume fraction of the solid phase in the slurry W as shown below on the slide and obtain the desired dependency. Its graphic representation is in figure on the right column. The value of magnetic permeability mu for the air can be considered equal to 1, and after determining S sub 1 and mu through setting the value of ultrasonic frequency omega and intensity of the magnetic field uppercase H, as well as physical properties of slurry components, we determine volume fraction of the solid of the slurry and the average value of the useful component. The results of testing the developed device based on the described approach shows that the error of measuring the percentage of the magnetic component in the slurry makes plus minus about 0.33 absolute percent. The error in measuring of the solid phase concentration is plus minus 0.31 absolute percent. The suggested approach ensures stable measurement of the magnetic component content in the slurry and solid phase concentration in it. Thus, the magnetic field can significantly change the structure of the ultrasonic low wave and create the possibility for the existence of new surface waves in the conductive semispace and the layer. The number of new waves is determined by physical and mechanical parameters of the semispace of the layer, and the appearance of the longitudinal component provides additional opportunities for using such waves to characterize media. The scientific novelty implies analytical argumentation of the mechanism of transformer ultrasonic low waves in the conducting layer of the semispace, influenced by the magnetic field, to develop the method of determining density of iron ore slurry and magnetic ion content in it. Practical significance implies the research result applied to designing means of ultrasonic control over density of iron ore slurry and its magnetic ion content. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be happy to hear your question.
I am Habtu from Ethiopia. Of course, my host university is Mangalore University in Karnataka, India. My title is Terrain Mapping and Analysis for Land Management. This is part of a project under watershed management under the guidance of Professor Jayappa. Thank you very much for organizing this conference. I will continue. So the introduction part. Terrain refers the symbolization and depiction of land area or territory. So it's mainly manipulation and interpretation of digital elevation models. And its advantages for study of biophysical environment. Therefore, the country where I am, Ethiopia, there is a fast population growth and resource consumption is also increasing. Therefore, there is pressure on natural resource. Hence, site-specific intervention, studying the intervention is very important for resource conservation and management. And GIS and remote sensing technologies are helpful for this purpose. Therefore, the purpose is, our objective is just mapping and analyzing the terrain feature of the Magaj-Dirma watershed, our study watershed, for just to support local land resource managers. Here is the study site. its location is between 12 degree 20 minutes and 39 minutes to latitude to 37 degree and 10 minutes and 30-second latitude. It covers around 1,309 kilometer square area. And the tools, the data it means, we used digital elevation model, which was a 30-meter resolution. We downloaded this from USGS database. And the other is we use Landsat satellite image. And again, we accessed soil data from FAO. And finally, we processed this using ArcGIS software, ArcMap 10.4 extension. So the first activity we did is we identified the landforms. These are physical characteristics, because understanding these physical characteristics helpful to understand the land process. So based on this, we found that high and low mountains, regular and smooth plains, and hills are parts of land features of the watershed. The other is geology. This is also important. This study is part of the Nile Basin geographic area. Therefore, the tectonic, volcanic, and climate events are important formation of geologically of our watershed. Therefore, the alluvial and basaltic types of geological features are found in our watershed. And the other is, again, we analyze the slope of the study area, slope and aspect. Slope is very important because the steep slope geographic areas are vulnerable for soil erosion because of their exposure to runoff. Therefore, as it can be seen from the map, the slope of this land feature reaches up to 75 degrees, which is very hilly area. And the other is, again, we analyzed the hillshade of the area. As you can see, the upper part of the watershed is made up of rocks, and the lower part is smooth plains. Therefore, again, this is helpful to understand drainage begins and towards which one is flowing. Therefore, it's from north and northeast towards the south. And the other is we saw the extent of terrain ruggedness or ruggedness. We found that the high terrain approaching the upper part is very hilly and the lower part is also smooth plains. The other soil types, this one is very important. Soil erosion is one of the country's leading cause as a land degradation. Therefore, on average, the annual soil loss rate of around 41 ton per hectare per annum, and sometimes it reaches up to 300, which is huge. And therefore, in this watershed, we found that leptosoils, vertisoils, and luvisoils are the major soil type in our watershed, as it can be seen again, the statistics, the right part of the table, leptosoils, followed by vertisoils and luvisoils are the major one. The other issue we analyzed was the soil erosion extent and the drainage basin. As you see, there is moderate to severe erosion, this catchment. The drainage has also a 6-stream order. Therefore, the drainage starts from the upper part and draining towards the south, as it can be seen in the map. Clay and clay loam soils are the major soil textures in this catchment. And the lower part of the watershed has better moisture, whereas the major part is uplands and few lowland areas are with good moisture because they are near to the sea, the lake Tana, to the lakes, therefore, or wetland areas. The other important point we saw, land use, land cover. Again, we discussed this by accessing satellite image, that's Landsat 8 Landsat, yeah, 8 images. And based on the classification, we used ERDAS Imagine tool or software, and we found this: the cultivation, plantation, grassland, bareland, shrubland, water body, wheatland, and urban areas. These are the land use, land cover features of this study watershed. And was the major one. Therefore, almost the majority of land is under cultivation, followed by some shrublands. Conclusion: the upper part of the watershed is characterized as steep mountains. The northern part of the watershed is steep and slope and exposed for soil erosion. This analysis will be important to support local planners for natural resource and develop management schemes. Hence, the upper part of the watershed needs soil and water conservation works, such as covering the land with vegetation, constructing physical structures like terracing and check dams. Here are references, and thank you very much. This is our presentation.
Dr. Gayakshamavanyan has joined. I shall invite Professor Gayakshamavanyan to introduce himself and present his paper.
Thank you very much. Can you listen me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can I start now? So the presentation title is Technological Innovations. So it's devoted to two-dimensional materials. So I'm going to speak about two-dimensional materials, devices, and products. So as you know, technological innovations are very important for developing new two-dimensional materials with new properties, such as flexibility, transparency, etc. Besides fabricating new generation two-dimensional material-based devices with improved characteristics. And as well as two-dimensional enhanced products with improved property. So as you know, application of graphene and two-dimensional materials can apply in flexible electronics, wearable electronics, nanocomposites, photovoltaics, and optoelectronics, sensors, and biomedicine. So two-dimensional materials have very extraordinary properties. For example, due to strength and flexibility, they can be applied in flexible electronics, as it is best conductor. So we can use in high frequency electronics, chip interconnects. Due to ultra-thin, it can be applied in semi-transparent optoelectronics. Due to large surface area in batteries, superconductors, strongest and lightest property. Due to this, they can apply in coatings, nanocomposites, membranes for water distillation. So over millennia, civilization came to graphene and other two-dimensional atomic materials with outstanding electrical, optical, and other properties by progressing through the stone, bronze, and iron ages. So just few, I'll focus on graphene. So as you know, graphene is the single atomic layer graphite, which is the thinnest material and as well as mechanically strongest and at the same time flexible, and also it has highest electrical and thermal conductivity. So beyond graphene, there are many two-dimensional materials discovered. For example, hexagon boron nitride. And besides molybdenum disulfide, silicon, which is atomic layer of silicon, germanium is atomic layer of germanium, borophin, atomic layer of boron, phosphorine, which is atomic layer of phosphorus, and stannine, which is atomic layer of stannine. And so how to make graphene or two-dimensional materials, so which will be suitable for mass production. So recently we suggested substrate rubbing method, which allow to obtain two-dimensional materials such as graphene without using gauges, high temperature chemicals, sonication, etc. So it's very simple method which we can get graphene by hand. So we call this method substrate rubbing method. The method compromises putting pristine bulk layered material between two solid substrates and rubbing the substrates against each other. As a result, multi-layer, few layer, and then monolayer nanostripes cover the surfaces of two substrates we did. So the advantages of substrate rubbing technology are the following: extremely simple. It's single step method. It's fast, only 1 minute needed to get graphene, cost effective, chemical free, transfer free. It can obtain directly on any substrate, reliable, highly productive, and industrially scalable. So the substrate rubbing technology allows to get unique nanostripe consisting of quantum dots. Sheets consist of nanostripes, hybrid structures.
Ma'am, now you can present your screen.
Well, good morning from Greece. I'm very, very honored and I'm very happy to be here today in this significant conference about the science, engineering, technological innovations. Today, we're going to discuss about, I think, a very interesting topic about the blockchain technology, which is actually a relatively new field. I think a fascinating field that awards our attention. And we can see also how this could be applied in education, because so far we know some things about Bitcoin and other applications, but we don't know, I think, nothing about how this could be applied in education. So can I share my presentation?
Your screen is visible, ma'am.
Now the AFM image of monolayer and multi-layer graphene, and also IV characteristics. You can see here the difference between IV curves of graphene and graphite, and you can see that there is big difference between IV curves. And also here are shown the high STM and high resolution TEM images of graphene. So you can see hexagonal structure, which means that we have graphene, monolayer graphene. So here are shown rubbing conditions, different rubbing conditions. So we can change the direction, number, pressure, apply to the substrate rate. Manually, we can do it continuously or subsequently, horizontally or vertically. And also we have done experiments on hexagonal boron nitride nanostripes. You can see the also Raman spectra here. Here are optical images. And so after that, we succeeded to obtain two-dimensional atomic heterostructures, which is very important for fabrication of two-dimensional devices. So here you can see some example of graphene and hexagonal boron nitride heterostructure. So the technology also allowed to bend two-dimensional materials. You can see here that it's bended. Also break two-dimensional materials, and at the end twist two-dimensional materials. So we got a Spanish patent for this, EPO patent, and US patent for this technology. And after that, at the end, I want to speak about the innovative applications of two-dimensional materials we succeeded to do during this period. So we applied them in electronic devices, such as FET with graphene nanostripe channel, which is a unique one. And we also used in perovskite solar set with graphene buffer and top layers. We used also lithium-ion batteries with graphene coatings. And also we used as coatings, like coatings for protective coatings, high electric conductive, heat dissipating, hydrophilic or hydrophobic, and as lubricant. Also, as we have graphene quantum dots, so we use them for biomedical application. Next is photocatalysts. So we used for to get clean energy production and storage, and also very important to get to mix graphene with different materials, which will allow to change the properties of materials and products. So at the end, I want to say that technological innovation is important for developing new materials and fabricating new generation devices and products with improved properties. So as this technology is new one, so we are ready for collaboration. So we are interested in theoretical calculation, different application, and also mass production. So thank you very much for very interesting and interesting conference. And I want to thank conference organizer for my invitation. Thank you very much.
About soil erosion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can soil type or soil texture prevent the soil erosion? What your analysis say?
Actually, we focused on the terrain mapping and the analysis part we mapped, but we didn't we didn't make any analysis to what extent each soil type and the texture has affected the erosion situation, and we didn't have an estimation on that part. Simply, we saw, we recognize that the texture types, soil types, and the area they covered. I think.
Okay, is there any role of plants in soil erosion?
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yes.
That's the important thing. That's why we worry about deforestation, and we advised the farming community to focus on plantation. That's tree planting.
Very good. So how can tree plantation can prevent this soil erosion?
Yeah, the plant roots are very important in retaining the down movement of soils by runoff. Therefore, their existence there is important because they work as barriers there.
So you are very close to first answer of the first question. So thank you.
Yeah,
all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So it was great, Dr. Gayakshamavanyan. This was very, I'm fortunate to meet you. So I just want to know how can your work, your experience, we can use in our product development of some products based on reuse of waste.
So we have technology, so it means we can, we have to know at first what you are doing, yes, what research you are doing. If we understand, so we can decide what to do next, because at the moment I don't know your experimental.
Okay, Okay,
area.
so I will request you for some time for this. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you.
So,
Sir.
I mean, if you send your research area, so we can
Sure.
discuss and understand how to go ahead. Okay.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
So, so Dr. Tron, if you are available here. Okay. Thank you. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Decentralized digital currency, and it's a revolutionary technology invention. It changed the way we compute things and the way we operate software and computers. So Bitcoin and blockchain are considered to be the next big wave of change after the internet. The blockchain technology has been hailed as a revolutionary technology that can dramatically impact the following key factors that play a key role in the day-to-day activities across the globe: cost of trades or transactions, speed of execution, transparency of all transactions, and each of all these factors has implications in almost every industry: banking, agriculture, business, trading, security, medicines, manufacturing, supply chain, bioinformatics, and we're going to see also in education. So we have some generations. The first generation of blockchain, it was actually more like innovation of the digital currency field, such as a system of currency transfer, caching, or payment. Blockchain 2, the second generation, it was a programmable finance based on blockchain. It was about innovation in contracts and particular business contracts and transactions, including stocks, securities, future loans, clearing, and settlement. We have the third generation of blockchain, which is actually application of blockchain in other industries. And this refers to changes in organizational forms, including health, science, culture. And we have also the fourth, the generation of the fourth industrial revolution, which is now. And this delivers blockchain as a business usable environment for creating and running applications, bringing technology fully mainstream. So what is actually blockchain? A few years ago, the world was known only to a very select few. Nowadays, most people have heard of blockchains, even though they might just know it's just a thing that makes Bitcoin work. And why, although the fact that the cryptocurrencies are the first widespread applications of blockchain technology, this is far from the only use, because blockchain is actually what we call a distributed, secure, and decentralized ledger that provides a way for information to be recorded and shared by a community. So being secure, decentralized, these blockchains can be applied in many fields, including healthcare and education. So the first thing is that we talk about distributed ledgers. What is this? We have all seen ledgers before. These books where records like accounting records or students' grades, where students' grades are kept, for example. Most of these today are electronic and maintained using specialized software and generally centralized. So if a centralized ledger is ever stolen or damaged or compromised in any way, this is a problem. So we need to keep exact copies of ledgers in different locations, because this would be a safeguard, a good safeguard, provided each copy were a faithful, verified, exact version of the original. And this is what we call distributed ledger. When in different locations, we have an exact copy version of the copy. In a blockchain, here you can see, to show you a photo. In this, in this scheme, you can see that in a blockchain, each of the many individual digital nodes keeps a full copy of the ledger and also constantly verifies the integrity of both newly recorded information as well as the copy that it stores. So if any or many of these nodes fail or are compromised, the ledger's information remains intact. So blockchain is a public ledger that automatically records and verifies transactions. The distributed ledger technology powers Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other virtual currencies. This, of course, could transform many industries. Because we talk about a transparent register of transaction data, and this operates, as I said before, through a decentralized platform, make it fraud resistant. So what are the features of, what are the characteristics of blockchain? First of all, it's about security, because it is really impossible for anyone to tamper with transactions or ledger records present in the blockchain, which is make it more secure. So it is seen as a reliable source of information. Global reach, blockchain has been adopted worldwide and has been the backing of many investors from banking and non-banking sectors, which make it a globally accepted technology stack. Automated operations. Operations are fully automated through software. Private companies are not needed to handle operations, which is why there is no mediation required to carry out the transactions, and trust is assured so people can carry out their own transactions. Why open source? Because blockchain is an open source technology. All the operations are carried out by the open source community. Distributed, as I said before, because blockchain works in a distributed mode in which records are stored in all nodes in the network. If one node goes down, it doesn't impact any other nodes or any other records because they are properly distributed across all the nodes. And flexibility, because blockchain is programmable using basic programming concepts and programming semantics, which make blockchain very flexible. And here, what is even, for example, before starting talking about education, we can understand what happens in the banking sector. What is the impact in the banking industry? First of all, we're talking about transparency. The hash of the records in blockchain are immutable and irreversible. So this denies any modification or deletion, making the transaction process smooth, trustworthy, and faster. Storage of information. Very important, the storage of information. Because blockchain's distributed ledger nature allows storage of information in consensus and maintains data consistency across the users of participants. Blockchain also eliminates manual processing, maintains automated trailing of accounts while reducing time for reconciliations and data validations. Documentation also, because smart contracts facilitate the validation of business processes easily and the reconciliation process straightforward without any hiccups or loss of trust among the participating parties. Time sensitivity, because blockchain can settle transactions in real time, reducing risk while improving customer experience. And intermediary, because the use of blockchain technology removes the intermediary processes and thus lowering latency, manpower, and costs involved. For instance, if we examine in the banking sector, what we call on daily basis, we have the know your customer payments and fund transfers. We have this section. So if we look into these processes, how this works so far, we have a wide list of challenges, because so far, before the blockchain technology, this process is a centralized process, which is done in isolation in each bank. And this is a repetitive task. There are costs which are increasing every day. Bookkeeping also of records is always done in isolation, and the banks do not involve each other in these documentation repositories. So if we use blockchain technology here, what happens? We're talking about decentralized technology. Banks can reduce operation costs and can increase efficiency. And this can be performed once and then can be made available as a reference for other future transactions. Moreover, once these details are made available on blockchain, they can be used by other banks, accredited institutions, or organizations without the need to reinitiate this action for the same customer again and again. Because this will save, of course, the cost spent on the repeated process, the time spent on completing the process. It enables faster and more accurate travel of records. So banks and financial institutions can attract customers since they will improve the ease of work and the speed of work, and the customers will need to be provided with the documents only once. The same happened with what we call decentralized government. Why blockchain has now become the new trend in governmental processes. Let's explore the ways how this works. It helps in providing aid to programs in various states and nations. It ensures that the funds reach the intended recipients only. All the government's operations and systems such as properties, taxes, public services, social benefits, health benefits, and utilities, if they brought on a digital ledger, then can bring security and transparency. Elections and voting can be brought into the centralized platform, which in turn will bring speed, transparency, and accuracy in the election process, and will also reduce the cost and complexity involved. So the result will be faster and correct. And also another benefit is that the government services that involve supply chain management will be cheaper, accurate, and auditable. Also, the most important part is that once all the government operations are brought into the decentralized platform, they will be more accurate in bookkeeping, increasing speed, and easing the fraud, finding, tampering, and arresting corruption to a larger extent. According to a new report by the Joint Research Center of the European Union, blockchain will end paper-based certificates, automate the award recognition, transfer of credits, will increase learners' ownership and control over their own data, reduce institutional data costs and risk, but only if open standards are adopted. So according to this report, these are the benefits from blockchaining, including self-sovereignty. That means that users identify themselves while maintaining control over the storage and management of their personal data. Trust, because infrastructure that gives people enough confidence in its operations to carry through this with transactions such as payments or the issue of certificates. Immutability, records written and stored permanently without the possibility of modification. Disintermediation, that means the removal of the need for a central controlling authority to manage transactions or keep records. And collaboration, it's the ability of parties to transact directly with each other without the need for mediating third parties. This is very, very important. So blockchain entries are permanent, are transparent, are searchable, which make it possible for communities members to view transaction histories in their entirety. And each update, it's a new block added to the end of a chain. A protocol manages how new edits or entries are initiated, are validated, recorded, and distributed. So with blockchain, cryptology replaces third-party intermediaries as a keeper of trust, with all blockchain participants running complex algorithms to certify the integrity of the whole. And blockchain is, said before, always does not forget that it's a distributed ledger that provides a way for information to be recorded and shared by the community. So we have seen how this is beneficial in many fields. So what happens now in education? There are many benefits to using blockchain technology in learning institutions. I think the next years, in the future, we will see all these applications. First of all, it helps in the verification of student records and accreditation. Blockchain technology transforms record keeping of certificates and student credentials in learning institutions, because there is no need in intermediary for an intermediary in verifying degree certificates, diplomas, or other academic papers with blockchain technology. Blockchain technology can also help educational institutions in accreditation. Most countries find it very challenging to certify and accredit most learning institutions. And with blockchain technology, it will be much easier to verify the qualification and quality of education most educational institutions offer. Student records, for example, academic transcripts are one of the most time-consuming, we all know, labor-intensive tasks in academic institutions today. So before issuing a certified transcript of a student's grade, each entry must be manually verified to ensure accuracy. And another kind of student record that is frequently requested is the certification of course contents. In K-12 education, it might happen that a student in one state takes a class, for example, algebra, and then moves to another state where he is enrolled in the school and also teaches another class. So here we can ask ourselves if these both courses share the same content. Verifying this means compare this course content, and for each student who requests this record, each page should be, of course, signed and stamped. But if this information, which is stored in the blockchain, with just a few clicks, a person can obtain a complete verified record of content, courses, and all academic achievements. We're talking about a huge revolution. Diplomas and certificates, just like grades, a student's diplomas and credentials would be issued and stored on the blockchain. Instead of asking the institution to emit the diploma to certify a paper copy, employers would only need to be provided with a link to a digital diploma. And this is already being done. In 2017, MIT began issuing digital blockchain stored diplomas to its graduates. And this prevents people from submitting fake degrees, of course, to potential employers, situation that is, it's very common here in Greece, at least it's common. Badges. Besides degrees, a person's typical resume contains a lot of additional information that would be relevant to employers. So we're talking about foreign language skills or technical knowledge or specific abilities, not necessarily related to a person's profession. These skills that are not easy to verify, but if in this way, we can store on blockchain all our skills. And this way we can prove that we have these skills that may be in question from our employees. File storage. If institutions want to store digital curriculum, records, degrees, and other information, that's going to use a lot of file storage space. So saving everything on local hard drives brings us back to the issue of centralizing the files. If the hard drives are damaged or compromised in any way, that would be, as I said before, problem. Cloud storage is an option, but buying the amount of cloud storage space needed could be out of reach for many institutions. A possible solution would be blockchain-based cloud storage services like Filecoin. Lesson and courses. Many blockchains are also what we call smart contract capable. That means that lessons and courses can be programmed into the blockchain and executed automatically when certain conditions are met. For example, a teacher could set up tasks for students. The completion of each task could be automatically verified by the blockchain smart contracts. Upon completion of all tasks, teachers could receive payment with crypto tokens and students could be awarded credits. Entire courses could be laid out this way. Publishing. Undergrad and students, teachers, professionals, researchers constantly generate quality material. We'll know about this. But the road to publication is very as a hard one. So science has a long history of worthy research that for a variety of reasons were rejected by scientific journals. This indicates that rejections don't mean that your paper is bad. It shows that how difficult it can be to get it published. If we publish, on the other hand, on the blockchain, this could help new writers, researchers, and many others break into the industry. Blockchains could also help with rights management and protection against the piracy. And of course, this reduces cases of fraud because there are many documented cases where job applicants have used, as I said before, fake academic papers, and many people lie about their qualifications when they apply for a job. So here we can see that education usually is one of the most affected industries characterized by fraud and hacking. Sometimes hackers can manipulate and delete information from education systems. And they do this especially to award, if you have a case of a fake certificate. So we can avoid all this fraud in education because blockchain ensures a consistent and transparent ledger for all academic qualifications. Once a college records students' information on an online ledger, it's not easy to change. So you need the permission from network users to manipulate this information. And additionally, universities can develop a ledger with a custom blockchain protocol. The platform is vital for issuing students' transcripts and certificates. Decentralizing online learning. Today, learning institutions are offering online courses to both local and international students. And there are online courses students can pursue in any institution they want. So various learning institutions have their unique specification outlines different from others. Most of them dictate what the students should learn. And why this is because there is no real-time data exchange. They offer pre-recorded tutorials that students have to go through when learning. This means there is no room for students to engage when the tutors or ask questions. Learning institutions, on the other hand, that can use blockchain technology here to ensure decentralized online learning. It helps students try to share information in real time. And when blockchain technology decentralizes online learning, institutions will not dictate any type of course to publish and the amount to charge on every online course. What I said before, protection from copyright and digital rights violation, plagiarism, we know in the academic world is a major problem and struggle to combat. So when students copy digital content, usually this is a common phenomenon. With blockchain technology, content creators will curtail all this dispersal of copyright educational materials in the internet, and technology will ensure all people can store academic information in a safe and secure chain with advanced encryption. And this ensures the information is only accessible with permitted network users. The owners of learning materials can then track, verify access, and allow usage of their digital content. We can create better learning platforms because blockchain technology will be useful in the development of better environments. Universities can develop convenient education systems and projects connecting students and teachers, and schools in this way can enhance access and sharing of study materials. The users buy internal tokens to ask for feedback from standby online tutors, and they can also download learning materials and access other education services. With shift interaction from between students, instructors, and developers, learning becomes more convenient, of course, for all. Lower costs, many of the applications that we mentioned before are time-consuming, labor-intensive processes. And this leads, of course, thanks to blockchain technology, to lower costs for institutions, which in turn would translate into savings for students who may not need them to spend years paying off loans. So this leads to a reduction of costs and rewards because the computer nodes that constantly verify the integrity of the information stored in a blockchain receive rewards in the form of digital tokens like Bitcoin or other. This is what is called cryptocurrency mining. People who use computers to verify education-related blockchains would also receive tokens as a reward. And these tokens could be then traded on a safe cryptocurrency exchange or used to pay for goods or services within the education community itself. So here we can see that how blockchains could impact really education. Each state can create its own education-related smart contract-capable blockchain with its own specific crypto token. We have many cases, for example, in New York, they can generate a New York education token. And for starters, each school can store its course content on the blockchain. Upon first registration at the kindergarten level, what they do there in New York, they create an account on blockchain, and the account will contain a full detailed record of a student's academic activities. Also, we know everything about it. We don't know only the grades of test exams. We know also the questions of the exams. We don't know, we can show what students replied, how much detail this needs to be stored, of course. And this is very, very interesting because all details can be stored there. And teachers also could also write the exam questions in the blockchain with the correct answers and scoring parameters. Students will then use desktop computers or tablets to take the exam digitally, and the blockchain also will then handle grading. And also, if we have some specific skills, some students can write exceptional poetry, for instance, or they're either very good in maths or they're good in music. These also, there are skills that can be traced, and they can be stored also on blockchain, any specific skill or ability that we may have. Also, if a student transfers to another school, also this information should already automatically be stored. If a student moves to another state, in this case, we have a smart contract on the receiving blockchain. And in this case, we can do also the comparison between the present and the previous educational situation. Schools could also publish their social and cultural calendars on the blockchain, and they can upload there, they can store their videos and many other learning objects they can do. They can write stories, they can create music, documentaries, other short films. We'll talk about the real revolution. So in before concluding, I want to say another example of Dallas high schools that deployed recently an extended transcript to more fully share career readiness information. And there also they created what they call the green light, which makes sure that this transcript is updated and needed. And this transcript gives colleges and students the ability to see all credentials in one place. It's like the LinkedIn that we know, but with credentials verified by institutions. So students' profiles there can host a range of evidences of learning, including badges and portfolio of artifacts. And of course, high schools benefit through improved identity management, through more efficient paperwork and data management. So here we can ask ourselves that we can, there is this problematic that the big future opportunity is a marketplace where, remember this, I think that this is going to happen, where universities can search for applicants by category and credential and invite them to apply. I mean, they will not, in the future, students won't apply in order to go to university. Through this blockchain technology, universities can search and invite, according to all this qualification, invite all the applicants. In some years, students won't be applying to colleges. Colleges will be recruiting students. So by concluding, I want to say that all this technology is a fast developing technology, and today we're already witnessing its vast benefits in education and other sectors. All these technology are changing the economic landscape. The cryptocurrency said before. Here I show you how many applications this could have in education. And it's only just the beginning. I think that this is essential. The blockchain technology will help us to tackle the issues of bespoke learning and ensure honesty and avoid fraud. So I think that the future of blockchain technology is actually promising. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Rania. Outstanding presentation and an insightful explanation. Are there any more queries? So now we shall move to the end of this session of today. This time to present a note of thanks to all the presenters. Firstly, I shall thank the organizers who have taken efforts and organized this conference, the two-day international conference, which is going online. All thanks to Professor, all thanks to Professor Dr. C.M. Patel and Professor Natalia Morgan, who have organized this conference. I shall next thank Professor Natalia Morgan, who is not here yet has contributed much from her university, as well as Professor C.M. Patel, who is also the chairperson of Research Culture Society. I shall thank Professor Dr. Vitaly Tron for his extremely outstanding presentation. He has also given an introduction of his university, which was insightful. I shall next thank Professor Dr. Gayakshamavanyan, who gave his exceptional views on and his great remarks on 2D technology. That was highly important. I think all the viewers could understand and grab more from your presentation, sir. I shall next thank Dr. Rania Lampu, who gave her insights on blockchain technology used in Bitcoin. She took us through the technology that went through cryptocurrency, and not just that, she also gave her explanation on how it can be used in public relations as well, to avoid corruption. And I shall also thank Professor Haptu, who did his presentation on irrigation. That was also an insightful presentation. Professor Haptu Arku from Ethiopia. I again thank all the attendees, participants for this session. We have successfully finished our first session of this conference, and all the feedbacks can be typed in the feedback link, which will be available, and you can also see this feedback link on the screen. Kindly give your insights. We are very grateful to have your views. So please attend the next session, which is at 3 o'clock Indian Standard Time. And I thank everyone for joining.
Thank you very much.